Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ Dhammaṃ Sanghaṃ Namassāmi. Yesterday I had the good opportunity to talk with Ajahn Sujito. We get in touch from time to time, and in our conversation he referenced a sutta that had struck him recently, and I went and looked it up and read it. It's Samyutta 2, Sutta number 27, it's the Devaputta Samyutta, and it's quite short, but it's really pithy, and I think quite very, very relevant for this time. The sutta is because it's in the Devaputta Samyutta, so a deva, young deva, comes to the Buddha and asks him a question. This mind is so always anxious is this mind. The mind is always agitated with unarisen problems and with arisen ones. If there exists release from fear, please declare it to me. This quest for freedom from fear and anxiety, anxiousness, agitation, which we experience all the time, and of course in this particular period of time, it's even more relevant, more prominent. And the Buddha replies or teaches, saying, apart from awakening and austerity, apart from restraint of the sense faculties, apart from relinquishing all, do I see safety for living beings. I mean, it's a very again very direct and takes it to a whole other level. And the question is one that applies to any living being. But yeah, even if you think sort of going to some heavenly realm, being a celestial being is the solution to all your problems, and even there's a deva that is reflecting on existence and saying, and still, here I am in this heavenly realm, surrounded by all sorts of celestial comforts, and still anxious, still agitated, and still suffering. So that what's the deal? Where's the end of this? And I assume, and of course this is reading into it, that the Buddha recognized the sincerity of the question and probably the ripeness of the faculties of that particular being, and he didn't pull any punches. Apart from enlightenment, apart from awakening and austerity, the word pahoja, awakening, enlightenment, and tapas. That sense of apart from really waking up, and apart from going against the tapas is like austerity. Maybe the original meaning of tapas is like a purification that takes place when one goes against the stream of habit, stream of the world, and austerity can, as a word, can feel quite austere. So not so comfortable, but from a spiritual perspective, it's just that willingness to not just to give in to one's desires and habits, not give in to the conditioning and preferences of the world, to go against the stream. And of course, that's a recurring theme of the forest tradition. Remember Ajahn Chah being asked, what do you teach? What's your teaching? And Ajahn Chah's response, he just sort of laughed. He said, I only teach Toraman, sort of torture my disciple. Which is not but it's more like that, going against the stream, going against the flow, going against habit, not just acquiescing to the mood of the moment or acquiescing to the kind of preference, but being willing to question, to look, to resist that kind of conditioning and habit of the mind. And it's that, resistance that is, like in like a resistance in an electrical current creates heat. And another word for like tapas is sort of heat or energy that arises from practice. So this sense of tapas being a certain austerity, a certain simplicity and directness to our practice, questioning, experimenting. Because it's like, so it's experimenting, but what is it that actually helps lead to peace? What is it that helps lead to a freedom of heart? If one doesn't experiment, and many of our experiments are failed experiments, and if we don't have that willingness to go against the kind of fear, God, what if I get it wrong? What if I don't do it right? What if I don't watch my breath the right way? It's so we're so driven by fear, and that's exactly what this sutta is pointing to. Whereas and bringing up a sense of willingness to search, to try things out, see what works, what really is a way out of suffering. So the Buddha actually says there's two possible results of suffering, of dukkha, of discontent, dissatisfaction, stress. One result is just more dukkha, more stress, compounded. Or the other possible outcome is the arising of a noble search, and that seeking, that noble search. And that requires a certain going against the flow, going against the stream. Bhoja, that's awakening, enlightenment, and they in terms of there's awakening, and this is one of the sets of teachings that the Buddha encourages us to be attentive to, and establishes as in the four foundations of mindfulness, in terms of the mind in the Satipatthana, in the Dhamma Satipatthana, the mindfulness of dhammas, mindfulness of qualities. There's the qualities of awakening, bojjhanga. So anga is like a factor. So these 7 factors of awakening. Apart from one awakening, but then so that that these have causes and conditions. These have a basis for just say awakening and enlightenment just doesn't spring up because you have a lucky day. I mean, it's you woke up on the right side of bed this morning, so all of a sudden you're magically awakened. No, there's causes and conditions that need to be put in place, and if these factors of awakening. The first one being mindfulness, cultivation of mindfulness, of awareness. The second one being Dhammavicaya, the investigation of Dhamma, investigation of phenomena, investigation, contemplation, looking closely. How does this work? What's the experience? Am I seeing this in its right light? Am I understanding this correctly? Investigation of Dhamma. The next factor of awakening is virya, effort, resolve, putting forth energy. that when the different bases of and another say collection of teachings, say the wings to awakening, Bodhipakkhya Dhamma. It's a collection of the various teachings, 37 wings to awakening. It's all the different sets of teachings that are conducive to awakening. Bodhi, Boja, those are basically the same word. And the quality that comes up most repetitively, the most number of times in these various teachings, is virya, is effort. And of course, it's about right effort. It's not just spectacularly flailing around and say, "Oh, I've got lots of effort." That is, it's like this. No, what is right effort? How does one tune one's effort for the task at hand? Of course, the task at hand is, in this case, freedom from fear, freedom from anxiety, but that freedom from suffering. So that the effort, some effort is needed in restraint, which of course is another one of these, apart from restraint of the sense faculties. And there isn't going to be a freedom for you. So that restraint is a part of it. The restraint of unwholesome qualities, mental states that arise, and preventing unwholesome mental states from arising. There's a prevention, a circumventing, a recognition. Because one needs to be able to have some discernment, and because these all work together. One has to judiciously apply the effort in directing it in a skillful way. The effort to bring into being wholesome qualities, the arising of that which is skillful, which is wholesome. That's a type of effort. The effort that is for maintaining wholesome qualities that have arisen. That is an effort that we apply. So that's a factor of awakening. Of course, it's going to be coupled with investigation of Dhamma. It has to be investigating, contemplating, recognizing, what's the result of this effort? Because, like I said, sometimes our efforts are, it's not always successful just because it seems like a good theory at the time. Yeah. I think it was Zen Master Dogen. Practice success. Practice is one failure after another, which is a beautiful sort of, because it's but it's still you try this out. You want to put yourself out there. You can't just be holding yourself in with fear and anxiety. What if I get it wrong? that again, it takes discernment, reflection, and assessing the results. But there's and that's where, say, confidence comes from. That's where faith comes from. It isn't. You can't think yourself into having faith. I mean, or you can't do it because somebody tells you, you need to have faith in this and that. The faith in Buddhism is always based on discernment, on experience, on seeing clearly. And the next factor in terms of the factors of awakening is piti, is joy, exhilaration. Again, this path that the Buddha gives us, and this path of practice, these factors of training and practice that lead to awakening, even though one is recognizing suffering, difficulty, dis-ease, stress. It isn't that we cultivate more suffering. You have to consciously be cultivating things that uplift the heart, that bring us that piti, is sort of like joy, exhilaration. I kind of like that word. It's kind of and again, there's energy comes from effort, but then there's this quality of joy, rapture, and exhilaration. It's a result of the practice, but it's also a factor that we have to make conscious. And it's when one starts to recognize, say, the truth of the Buddha's teachings, or the kind of confidence or appreciation of the fact that the Buddha, is many places he doesn't pull punches. He said, this is it. Go for it. And that's it's really worthy of joy, because there's so much in the world that is just so it's just kind of frivolous and a waste of time, and it's our own nature as well. I mean, we tend to not want. We want the easy way, and or even if something's difficult, kind of dismiss it or cover it over because we don't really want to deal with it right now. What comes to mind is the movie, the Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where the King Arthur has this altercation with sort of a sword fight with his other knight, and they're they're doing this little battle, and King Arthur cuts off the other guy's arm, and he's sort of spurting blood, just a scratch. It's just a scratch. And as you know, we're kind of as you or go through life sort of gushing blood. Oh, it's just a scratch. Just give me a Band-Aid to get me through this, then I'll be okay. And the Buddha said, no, this is really a problem. You've got to deal with it. But it's that pointing to truth is really worthy of joy. And so that piti is something to be cultivated and brought into being. Passaddhi is a tranquility, an ease. And the next one is a samadhi, the mind being settled. Mind being settled, being composed. And I think it's important to recognize that the sequence of qualities, joy, tranquility, concentration, or samadhi, mind settling, being still. Because there's just so much of a habit of approaching practice, of trying to get concentrated through a force of will, a tightening of the mind and heart, trying to get it one pointed on an object, and it's a miserable experience. And how can when you think, well, if I can just sustain this long enough, somehow I'll have some major breakthrough and be free from suffering. But it's really not how the mind works. And the mind needs to be tempered with joy, with well-being, with ease, with tranquility. And the Buddha is very explicit in some suttas, where he says, the happy mind is easily concentrated. The happy mind is easily settles. So that to be attending to. I mean, and it's not just, I get what I want, so I'm happy. It's more like, no, the causes and conditions that one puts, the effort that one puts on, the investigation that one engages in, these are all hitting the mark. They're hitting there in accord with Dhamma. Practicing Dhamma in accordance with Dhamma. Dhammano Dhamma Patibhata. So this is a quality that the Buddha points to in many places. So that, and this development of these faculties of the mind, of the heart, that lead to tranquility, to the mind being settled, settling in samadhi. That sense of, and it's that settled, still, composed mind that sees things in their true nature, and that equanimity is the last quality in terms of these 7 factors of awakening, bojjhanga, and that those factors of awakening, and that quality of equanimity equanimity, equipoise, an evenness, a steadiness of heart that's not easily shaken. It's an equanimity that's not indifference. It's built on these foundations of knowledge and energy, tranquility, ease, and there's an evenness, a steadiness, a not easily shaken quality that arises and needs to be cultivated. So it's like a conscious directing attention to that as well. Because the mind is we're always looking for some story that we want to embellish in some way, either through aversion or through some sort of excitement of a desire, or some fear. I mean, that's some anxiety. There's that embellishing that goes on, and just to be within experience with the quality of equanimity, and it's an equanimity, a clarity. So there's factors of awakening. So the Buddha said, apart from awakening and austerity, apart from the restraint of the sense faculties, so that these are sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, mental objects. There's a restraint or a composure, sangra. There's a indriya sangra. There's a composure, and within that composure, then there's an opportunity to know and see things in their true nature, rather than being going up and down, round and around with our reactions, reactivity. So that, and then, apart from relinquishing all, sambha nisagga is and that is the Pali word that's used, and that relinquishing all. And that relinquishing all, what are we relinquishing? And that's just another way of putting it, relinquishing all that really doesn't belong to you. That's the all that you relinquish. Stuff that doesn't belong to you. Never was yours, never can be yours, never was in your control, never will be in your control. That's what we relinquish. And what the all that we relinquish is again, eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind. It has to be, really, it's going to be taken away from us anyway. And so that being ready to relinquish it. Or these 5 khandhas, these bases of identity, what we create an identity out of. What do we create an identity out of? Body, feeling, perception, memory, thoughts, emotions, consciousness. And these are these 5 aggregates of being. That's what we create an identity out of, and being ready to relinquish it, because it's not as if at some one point in time we have to relinquish it because it's not ours. It never was ours, never will be ours. We'll never have complete control over it. We'll never be able to It's just, it's in its very nature. So internally, externally, and the world is, it's not that it's, how do you say, a source of fear, in the sense that it's, because it's just it's just manifest. This is the manifestation of nature, and sometimes nature manifests in really positive ways. Sometimes nature manifests in negative ways, in pleasing ways, in unpleasing ways. It's just, but it's a manifestation of nature, and we can't claim ownership. We can't claim control. We can't claim identity within it. So to relinquish it through awaken, we awaken to that reality, and it's that it's say apart from these things, apart from awakening, apart from austerity, apart from restraining, apart from relinquishing, the Buddha does not see any place of safety for living beings. There isn't a freedom from fear anywhere. But within this, within awakening, within austerity, within relinquishment, that's where we're able to experience. And then it's not just sort of as a fleeting perception or fleeting kind of hope or ideal that maybe we'll get, but it's the language that the Buddha uses is this is something that is visible here and now. This is experienceable here and now. This is something that can be touched, we can experience it. Whether we can, this is it. We can touch upon it, and it's a tangible experience. It's a tangible recognition and quality of being that transforms us and takes us away from fear, takes us away from anxiety, takes us away from agitation. And those are one is liberated from those experiences, and that liberation leaves one with a real sense of compassion, care, kindness toward oneself, toward others. This morning, I gave a talk to the Buddhist community at Stanford, online meeting, and brought up a set of teachings, and that how does one, because also what qualities does one manifest in order to live with care, with respect, in harmony with ourselves and with the world around us. And the Buddha said, quality of loving kindness, with actions of body, actions of speech, actions of mind, the quality of sharing, of generosity, quality of integrity and virtue, quality of right view, seeing things in their true nature. So those are, as one doesn't say, awakening just doesn't mean that one has an ideal set, or it turns one into some kind of one who doesn't engage. One engages with kindness and generosity. One engages with compassion and joy. Because one's no longer fearful, one's no longer bound by anxiety and agitation. So that this very simple teaching, or very succinct teaching that the Buddha gives is really. I'm very appreciative of Ajahn Sujita sort of pointing it out to me and going and. That's another just example of, okay, what do we do in the world practicing Dhamma? Just having good spiritual friendships and supporting each other, caring for each other. So I'll offer that for reflection this evening.